Folks, we have a Klay Thompson update for you on the Hoop Collective's podcast, which is ESPN's Insiders podcast with Brian Windhorst, Tim Bontemps, and Tim McMahon. We know the Warriors have given Klay a 2-year deal. We don't know the numbers, but they've offered him a 2-year deal. So we're going to break down what they said and other pins that have dropped already in NBA free agency or trades and how it affects the Warriors. Randy Silver here, Warriors Digest. Warriors fans, this is it. We have breaking news coming out daily. We're in the middle of a week before draft, 2 weeks before free agency, Summer League, Olympics. It's about to get wild. Only 14% of the people watching subscribe. Do not miss anything. Please subscribe and get notified so you know when these videos come out to keep you up to date on everything in Warriors land. Klay Thompson. So as I just mentioned in my opener, did not bury the lead. He was offered a 2-year contract ahead of NBA free agency. We know he was offered 2 years, $48 million, so $24 per year in the middle of the 2024 season before the 2024 calendar year started. He rejected that. Wanted more than $24 million. We reported a couple days ago he could get potentially $30+ million per year on the open market. Could come from Orlando, they have salary. Philadelphia, they have salary. Dallas will want him, but they don't really have the salary. They would have to make some moves happen. Potentially San Antonio. The Lakers with JJ Redick now. You know he's a big three-point shooter. Family is from the LA area. Of course, his dad played there. But what we know, some of those could offer more. Warriors were offering 2 years. However, we don't know what the actual money is. Monty Pools reported that he wants at least 3 years. Thompson's eligible to re-sign with the Warriors prior to his unrestricted free agency on June 30th due to a new league rule that allows teams to negotiate with their own free agents, although it appears the two sides have some hurdles to overcome. He unfollowed the Warriors on social media, so it looks like this tactics of the negotiating is happening. Steph got 3-4 years on his deal. Draymond got 4 years on his deal. His was $400 million, and that was considered a hometown discount. So if Klay's saying, hey, I'm the same as Steph, I'm the same as Dre, why am I going to give a significant discount to the Warriors? I'm just as vital. Then he should expect 3 or 4 years, $25-30 million per year as well. Now, does that help the Warriors win tomorrow and for the future? Probably not when we look at our salary cap issues. Again, we're already at over the tax threshold of 171. We're at 174, getting us close to that first apron. The second apron, we got some wiggle room. What we know, GP2, $9 million has opted in. That is in the 174. Chris Paul's $30 million is not guaranteed. It's our team option. And then, of course, Klay Thompson's off the books. What is next that we need to see from the Warriors? $8 million contract if Looney becomes guaranteed June 24th. This is being filmed on June 21st, so depending when you watch this, you may know. $3 million guaranteed, and we talked about this. And Looney alluded to this on the Draymond podcast. We have an episode about this. Check it out. He may be salary cap casualty because if it's only $3 to $8 million is guaranteed, what does that drop you down to if nothing changes here? $169 million. His role diminished behind Trace Jackson Davis. Looney says he knows he needs to become a better shooter. If it's mid-range, become any type of three-point threat. But, lifelong Warrior, helped us win multiple championships. Would love for Looney to stay as the backup. But his role on the Warriors, y'all know, of course, just phased out as the season went on. So if you want to save $5 million, then because it's not guaranteed that part, helps you potentially take Klay's deal from $20 million to $25 million in that case. In addition, Chris Paul, say if his $30 million is gone, then now you could give Klay $30 million, and then you would still have $15 million to do something else. $10 million. Excuse me. Let me re-say that. So you got Chris Paul $30 million, and then you have $5 million saved for Looney. Say you want to give Klay $27 million, then you have $7 million to do something else. You say you want to give Klay $30 million, then you have $5 million to do something else. So Looney may become a casualty. And speaking of Chris Paul, right here, they're also talking about that his June 28th date, it becomes guaranteed. If they exercise it, boom. If they say we're not, then he's a free agent. On that podcast, they mentioned potentially July 5th. They may agree to push that too. It's a win-win for both. One, they may say, hey, if we guarantee $3 million of this, can we push this to July 5th? Why is that good for Chris Paul? Because then they could do like what happened with the Wizards. If the Warriors don't want to keep him, he gets a couple $1 million. Then they do a trade to a different team, get trade assets back, potentially get some players back, and then he can still get the other 27, whatever the left of the guaranteed is, on that team. A team of note, Spurs. They need a point guard. Imagine him and Wemby on the pick and roll, him just teaching Wemby, teaching that young team, being under Coach Pop. Something was good. Also, San Antonio and Texas overall has no income tax. A lot of that $30 million will stay in his pocket versus California, where it's a high income tax. Something that could be interesting to him. He's late in his career. Maybe he wants to go to a winning team. Philadelphia, if they're not going to keep Kyle Lowry, they could use a backup point guard. Put him and Wemby on the pick and roll. That'd be pretty good. Floor general. So there's some teams out there who have the space. Maybe we can get a player or two back, or we'll get draft back capital. Do the Warriors want to bring him back at $30 million? We talked about it. It's way too much money. But just be on the note again. June 28th, his contract becomes guaranteed. Potentially, as they talked on the podcast, they may get pushed back to allow the Warriors to have some flexibility with the start free agency and understanding what happens with Klay. Because with Klay, the extensions basically kick in. The extension free agency will start. We'll know what's happening with him. And if that means we need to keep Chris Paul as that floor general, as a proven leader, if Klay does walk away, or if it helps him find an opportunity to make a trade. Speaking of trades, we saw Caruso got traded to the Thunder. Bulls get Josh Giddey. That's a massive get for the Thunder. Put Caruso in that perimeter defense. They have the best perimeter defense in the NBA. I mean, they kind of were already up there. Now they're going to be up there. We know how well he is playing off the ball. Slasher. Doesn't need to be a big scorer in that team. That team just got better, and they were already the number one team in the West this year. And they got a little bit more experience, of course, with Caruso, older. Giddey, I think he'll do well in Chicago. He's better with the ball in his hand than playing off the ball. Felt like, especially in the playoffs, he got phased out of the offense, phased out of the team, wasn't playing as much. Of course, he had that whole incident with, how do we put it nicely, with the girl. What was her age, what happened, et cetera, et cetera. So probably best for both sides to sever, start fresh. And OKC gives up no draft capital, which they have like 13 first-round picks over the next 10 years, something like that. They give up no extra salary so they can get more people. It was a win. And then Malik Monk reportedly is staying with the Kings, 4 years, $78 million. This was somebody that we said we would love to get in the Warriors coming off the bench. Could potentially even be our two guard. Move Brandon the backup point guard and be a shooter. But he's staying with Mike Brown in Sacramento. That's a big get. We know how much he's torched the Warriors. He made that final second shot in our first or second game of the season this past 2024 to beat us. That's a big get for the Kings. So we're seeing dominoes fall. Why are we talking about that? Because Caruso's out there. We could have used him on the perimeter as a 2 for us. That would have been actually really big. Made a couple trades. Didn't that happen? Could have used Malik Monk as a shooter for us. Didn't that happen? So there's things happening in the NBA right now. And that's why right here, it's notable. Golden State Warriors have offered a 2-year contract to Klay Thompson. He's looking for 3 or 4 years. He wants that. I'm the guy. I can still play multiple years. Beyond 2 years, I'm going to play 3 or 4 years. Give it to me. I've earned it. So we'll see what happens. And of course, anything that happens, you want to stay with Warriors Digest, subscribe here. We keep you updated on everything Warriors land. Let me know your thoughts on what we talked about today, and we'll see you on the next episode.